This is a brief introduction to the app approval process for Guilford County. The policy that governs the app approval process is located online on the Board of Education page. From there, you go to the Policies and Procedures link and click the link for policy IFA-P. When you scroll down to section E, you will see the section that governs app approval. It is called Mobile Device Applications. What this first paragraph describes is how app approvals start with a teacher or some other school-based team member and gets approved at the school level and then the district level. This is designed to be a quick process. So it starts with an app advocate, whoever is advocating that this app be approved. That person would evaluate the app for its appropriateness, and then would go before the School Media and Technology Advisory Committee, or MTAC, to advocate that the app be approved. The MTAC will evaluate the app using a rubric, hopefully the same rubric that the app advocate used when they were doing their own evaluation. If the MTAC approves the app, someone from that committee will recommend the app to the Mobile Device Application Committee, or MDAC, at the district level. That committee will make a second review of the app and either approve or deny it. As you'll see in the second paragraph of the section here, there is a way to expedite a request if there is a reason to do so. In that case, the app advocate can go to a school administrator and make their case for the approval of the app. The administrator would then pass on the request to the MDAC if the administrator approves of the app. So let's look really quickly at the rubric that all parties will be using to evaluate the app. This rubric can be found on the Media Services website, and I expect it will change over time as we become more seasoned in how to evaluate apps. Right now, the rubric is divided into 3 sections: purpose, evaluation, and content. And you can see by the scores assigned to each section that content is really the most important piece of the rubric. But let's start at the top. The first question to ask is, what is the purpose of the app? Is it a curricular app used primarily for learning standard-based content? Is it a productivity app that really is content agnostic but helps students to be creative or productive? Or is it an incentive app that's really not content related or productivity related? It's more of an incentive or reward for students. Let's say that the app that we're currently considering is a productivity app that has all new utility. It doesn't duplicate anything else on the tablet. So that's going to earn 20 points in the purpose score. Let's next move to the evaluation section. This section focuses on what level of evaluation the app advocate completed before making his or her request to the MTAC. Did the advocate explore all screens and levels on the app? Did the advocate leave it installed long enough to see if the app starts to propagate ads after a day or maybe after a week? Did the advocate read all of the terms of use or end-user license agreements and find nothing that was of concern? And finally, could you access the same content for this app through a web browser without losing a lot of utility? So you would make an assessment for each of these items and add up your score for the evaluation component. Last, we look at content. Is it free of all things that we should be keeping away from our students? Does it limit the extent to which a child may find him or herself communicating with someone on the internet that they don't know, or communicating inappropriately with other classmates? Does it collect any personally identifying student information? Are there ads? And are there in-app purchases? So again, you would evaluate each component and add up the score. Each app advocate should also have some kind of implementation plan. If the academic tie-in for an app is very clear, then the implementation plan might not need to be very detailed at all. But if the academic tie-in is not obvious, say for example in the case of an incentive app, then the implementation plan is going to need to be a lot more involved to justify the app. Once you have a score for each section, then you add those together and consider whether your app should be approved or not. The rubric contains some suggestions that anything that scores from 95 to 100 you might approve, anything under an 89 you might deny, and anything in between those two you should think carefully about. Now these are not mandates. These are simply suggestions because every app is different and we don't have enough experience yet with this rubric to let it be some kind of strict judge of which apps are approved and which are not. So what we'd like to see is for the app advocate to self-evaluate on this same rubric, as that will ensure that all the important things get looked for and it will help organize the app advocate's presentation to the MTAC. So once an MTAC has approved an app, they will pass it on to the MDAC. They'll do that in SharePoint, a link to which you can find on the Media Services page. Only media specialists will be able to access this page, and they may have a different set of links than what you see here. But on the All Apps page, the media specialist would click on Add New Item and then fill out all of the fields on the form. These fields mirror the rubric. So I would choose a school, the title of the app, select the app type, indicate what content area we're targeting. Could be all or multiple, or it could be something specific. Here you want to paste in the URL for the app. So this might come from the Google Play Store or the iTunes Store. This way the MDAC can get all the specifications it needs for the app, including the name and contact information for the publisher. The implementation plan can go right here. And then now we're really just getting into filling in items from the rubric. What was the purpose of the app? We said it was productivity. Let's say it had a 20. If there are any comments to make here, feel free to make them, but you don't have to. And then here are the places where you can put in the scores from the evaluation section, plus any comments, should you have any. And then the same thing for the content section. Does it require an account? And the MTAC recommends that it be approved. MTAC members do not need to put anything in here, as this will be used by the MDAC team. Once you're done, you click Save, which I'll click Cancel. And the app will enter a workflow process where the MDAC will review it and either approve or deny the request. If it's approved, then someone from the MDAC will work with the school to get the app from the publisher and put onto tablets in whatever way makes the most sense. And this will vary depending on whether the app is free, whether it's a pay app, whether the publisher is willing to give us the installation files, whether the publisher is willing to allow us to put them online, whether the publisher is willing to let us push those from a mobile device management solution, any number of variables. There's also no guarantee that a publisher will allow a school to use it, even if the MTAC and the MDAC have approved its use in the school. We also currently don't know what amount of time will be required to handle all this communication with publishers. That's something we're going to have to learn through experience. And that concludes this brief introduction to the app approval process.